This short video will provide proof that the, quote, Archdiocese of Chicago accepts gay, quote, marriage and, quote, transgenderism. The first clips are from St. Patrick's Church in the, quote, Archdiocese of Chicago, in which the, quote, priest invites a, quote, married gay couple to speak to the people about, quote, the miracle of their marriage and adopting children.
This week, Chicago is celebrating Pride, and of course today is Father's Day, and conveniently we tick both of those boxes. We've been members of Old St. Pat's for the last 10 years. I have to say, in all honesty, if you had told us as young boys who wasted countless hours of our lives in church trying to pray the gay away, that we someday would be standing in front of all of you in our Catholic church talking about our family on Father's Day, we would never have believed you. In fact, on our first date, true story, we both admitted that we would want to get married and have children one day if that were a possibility, which is a lot to talk about on a first date. However, at that time, this was 2004, marriage was not a possibility for us, let alone parenthood.
So the first miracle of our story came in 2007 when gay marriage, which was then called civil union, became legal in the United Kingdom, which is where I'm from.
So fast forward 4 years, 2011, Alex and I started the adoption process, and we're told that it would take several years for us to start a family, in large part because it was not legal for same-sex adoption to be the case in many states, specifically Michigan, where we lived at the time. Shortly after completing our requirements, however, the next miracle occurred. We were contacted by an agency in Florida that a birth mother had chosen us, and 5 days later, we became parents, Daddy and Papa, to Ella.
5 years later, another miracle when an adoption agency in Kansas this time, quite out of the blue, rang us up to tell us that a young couple in Houston, Texas, were interested in us being parents for their child. And 6 months after that, Clara was born and made our family complete.
The final miracle in our story is here, Old St. Pat's.
One day, shortly after moving to Chicago, we were working late on Holy Thursday and looking for a mass somewhere downtown that fit our schedule. And so we stumbled into here. It was another small beginning. It was a gorgeous mass, but what really stood out for us most that night was not the service itself. There in the bulletin, we saw an announcement of a gay men's group the very next week.
I sang in the choir at a mass right here on a weeknight for the victims of the Pulse nightclub shooting. We had their pictures on this altar for a month. Clara was baptized and Ella had her first communion right here. Our children go to Sunday school here. And every week before Easter, we heard prayers explicitly against bigotry and homophobia. The LGBTQ community has made great strides since the start of the gay rights movement over 50 years ago. Our family is a testament to that. It has done so with the help of allies. Allies are straight people who support their gay brothers and sisters, sons and daughters. And we are going to assume that if you have chosen this faith community, you passed a lot of Catholic churches getting here today, that you are most likely an ally. So, on this Father's Day, during Pride, we pray that if you are ever given the opportunity to stand up for families like ours, that you will do so, because our voices are very strong, but they are not nearly loud enough without yours. Thank you so much for having us today. Happy Father's Day and happy Pride.
Thank you very much, Alex and Landon. What a most fitting message for us today.
In the next clip, you'll see that Blaise Cupich, the apostate who claims to be the Cardinal of Chicago, took swift action against a more conservative, quote, priest who burned a gay pride flag.
Father Paul Kauchik was abruptly removed from the church on Saturday, less than 2 weeks after participating in what he called an exorcism ceremony, which included the burning of a rainbow flag which once hung in the church sanctuary.
They were demanding Cardinal Blaise Cupich take action, which he did late this afternoon in this letter to the parish.
Our cardinal did two things. He stood with gay and lesbian people.
Stuff like that makes a mockery of the practice of the faith have to be destroyed. Evil needs to be dealt with.
A priest defies church leadership and burns an LGBTQ flag.
Was told not to go ahead with plans posted in the bulletin to burn a rainbow pride flag that once hung in the church's sanctuary.
The Archdiocese released a statement saying church leadership had contacted this pastor before, telling him he shouldn't burn the flag, but he did it anyway.
Two vicar for priests in the vicar for priest office, they totally acted outside of any normal juridical process. Police would be called, and I would be forcibly removed from Resurrection Parish. So Montalbano's gay vestments were destroyed by me in the fire pit.
That pastor, Daniel Montalbano, would eventually be found dead in his rectory, hooked up to an electrical homemade masturbation device.
In the wake of Supich's persecution of Father Paul Kalchik, CNSnews.com has contacted the Chicago Archdiocese multiple times in the past 2 weeks to ask whether the Cardinal supports church teaching that homosexual acts are intrinsically evil. The communications director is refusing to answer.
Homosexualist Cardinal Joseph Bernardine, there also in the picture, was more than happy to call Resurrection Parish a kind of second home, since the pastor there was scandalously homosexual and a huge promoter of all things sodomy agenda related.
That is especially so as I now follow two great predecessors, Cardinal Bernardine and Cardinal George, both intellectual and spiritual leaders, but most of all, pastoral men, who both have been models of faith and trust in God and having to deal with serious illnesses as they valiantly continue to shepherd the people of God.
As the following clips from our video quote Cardinal Cupich and the Counterchurch in Chicago prove, Cupich clearly endorses gay quote marriage and quote transgenderism.
Young people are a sign of hope for us each and every day. That is coming out very strongly in the Synod discussions that we had.
I was asked the question, what is the final document going to have to say to people who are homosexual, who have same-sex attraction, who have this aspect of their life? And my answer was, I think the whole document is something to say to everybody. So we wanted to make sure that people were included and felt included by whatever we had to say.
This was not against people who have same-sex attractions. In fact, we're very sensitive to the fact that they have suffered discrimination.
I mean, do you think gay parents can be good parents?
I think there are people not only who are gay, but many single people are good parents.
Well, I didn't want anybody using this debate to in any way demean or denigrate people who have same-sex attraction.
The point that they're trying to make is that the child abuse problem we have is due to homosexuality. And my point was, whenever we talk about that, be careful, because the John Jay study said you cannot reduce this to one factor. Even if there is male-on-male abuse that's happening, to a matter that it's caused by homosexuality. Because if you do that, what you're really saying is that homosexuals are more prone to abuse children than straight people. That's unjust. It's wrong.
If someone is in a gay relationship, should they be able to have any leadership positions within a local parish?
I think that if a person is in in any kind of relationship that does not that is not a relationship that is open to the three promises of marriage, any kind of relationship outside of marriage, that is a cause of concern. But to make a blanket statement would be, I think, ignoring the fact that you have to make sure that you see where people are, and then you go from there.
Well, first of all, I've known Jim Martin for a long time, and I appreciate what he's doing. He really is one of the, if not the foremost evangelizer in the church today, especially for young people.
I've been talking to Father Martin, whom I've known a long time, about coming to the diocese. I wanted to make sure that I affirmed what he was doing.
Cardinal Blaise Cupich is welcoming an actively gay masseur to lead an LGBT gathering in his archdiocese. Father Michael Gieman, a member of the religious order known as the Servites and head of the Priory for Our Lady of Sorrows National Basilica in Chicago, is operating a monthly homosexual meetup. On social media, the priest calls himself a gay masseur who does, quote, man-to-man body work. He's a member of several gay meetups, including Men Cuddling Men and Nude Yoga Chicago, among many others.
Following the synod, because I want to get some clarification on that, it specifically deals with gay couples and whether they are eligible, so to speak, that may be the wrong term, to receive communion in the Catholic Church.
When people are in good conscience, working with a spiritual director, come to a decision that they need to follow that conscience. That's the teaching of the Church. And so in the case of people receiving communion in situations that are irregular, that also applies. The question then was, does that apply to gay people? And my answer was, they're human beings too. They have a conscience. They have to follow their conscience. They have to be able to have a formed conscience, understand the teaching of the Church, and work with the spiritual director and come to those decisions. And we have to respect that.
The Vatican II sect under Francis is not the Catholic Church, as our material explains. It is the prophesied end-times counterchurch, the Whore of Babylon.